We stopped the rain for a few minutes. That's good. I think we still have some people coming in, but I think we'll get going so we can get, we've got a full program, sold out house today. I'm Ken Cornell. I'm the Director of Alumni and Parent Relations. I know many of you, some of you have not yet met, but thank you for coming today. Welcome to SPU Homecoming. This is a wonderful time of year for our work. We are awash in the Alumni Center with emails and lists of names and letters and faxes and Facebook posts and all kinds of things, and they're all stories and individuals like you all. So it's a wonderful time to be in the alumni business. First order of business. So we have some new family in the house, in the Hilford house, since the last time we all gathered for a homecoming last year, and I didn't want to go too much farther until we acknowledge our new president, Dr. Daniel J. Martin, and his wife Pam, who are right here. And the Martins have embraced SPU ever since they came. They came in July, and they still had moving boxes probably in their living room or hidden away in the closets or the garage. And they're already beginning to invite students over to their home. They had a whole bunch of parents of incoming students to their home in September. So they have come in here and are very gracious and have embraced this community in a big way. Out of the chute, Pam Martin has rolled up her sleeves and been involved with our parent council, meeting with parents. She was the keynote speaker at our Mom's Day earlier this fall. So these guys are just wonderful parts of the community here. Also, Pam was a judge at the talent show last night, so she's a celeb in her own right. They're also plugged into the community, the larger community as well. They're very involved with First Church. I hear rumors that they teach Sunday school periodically or often. My kids go to King's schools up in Shoreline. Their boys go to King's schools, so I see the boys on the soccer pitch. I see Dan and Pam on the sidelines cheering like we are. And so it's wonderful to have them. And they're already fixtures at King's Schools and Krista up there as well. And of course, their family mascot, Josie the Great Dane, is often seen walking the north side of Queen Anne Hill too. So they're wonderful to be here, wonderful to have here. So welcome to the Martin family. As I mentioned, homecoming is the time to reconnect and be interconnected, to share stories, and that has certainly been happening all today and this week. And last night we met, a small group of us met up at Hilford House with the Martins, and there was an awardee, Medallion Award winners at Emra's and the Walls, and then also the Engberg family and some of our vice presidents, senior leadership here at SPU, our awards committee, the Alumni Association. Just had a time of sharing and talking about our connections to SPU, and it was wonderful. And every time we have those sessions, I wish I had a camera to record the stories, kind of do a story core. It's just incredible. And on Thursday this week, some of you were at the chapel service, gathered for worship, a homecoming chapel community service. We had an incredible time of worshiping together, and we had a community time of prayer. We heard from Margo, from our Alumnus of the Year, but then we invited Dr. Martin up and Jeff Van Duzer, our new provost, and then the whole Engberg family up on the stage, and we prayed for them, and Stephen Newby led us in a prayer of consecration. It was just a wonderful time of lifting up our new leaders and also our Alumna of the Year and her family at chapel. So that was just a great way to begin homecoming. As I mentioned, this interconnectedness is a big deal for alumni work. We do this in our alumni board meetings. We meet probably 6 times a year for our alumni board, and every time after we finish our meal, we spend about a half hour or so talking about our connectedness and who have you connected with. That's a real expectation for us on the alumni board. Is okay, be connecting with people. And Karen Teal is a longtime member of our alumni board, and she always comes with the most amazing connecting stories. And I'm busily writing down, trying to get a whiteboard of all these connections that she's making, and whether it be with prospective students or alums or prospective donors to the institution, you are all real connectors, and I really appreciate that. I was having lunch with Mike Downs last week. Mike Downs, you remember if you were here at Homecoming last year, he was one of our Medallion Award winners, and I was over, and he's been teaching 6th grade at Bellevue Christian for a bazillion years, multiple decades, You heard his story, and so I went and visited him in his hood, in his sixth grade classroom, and I brought some sandwiches, and we hung out for about half an hour while the kids were out at recess and having their lunch. The room was a disaster. You can imagine these sixth grade kids. They just finished a science project, and here's Mr. Downs, as they call him, in the long obedience in the same direction, just sitting there teaching sixth grade. And so he and I shared a half an hour together over some sandwiches, and all we talked about were the alums that we know. And he was telling stories about this basketball team that he played on many years ago. And in those days, when they would do road trips with the basketball team, they would always do a service or mission trip in the city. They had an extra time, day or two, then they do a service or mission trip in the city they were playing hoops in. And he said it's kind of like being on the war with his buddies on the basketball team. They had these incredible experiences, and he said that they had such this huge bond ever since. And so I know many of you have those experiences as well. Okay, so who is here today? We're not just all alums. We also have parents here. And we welcome you as part of our community. We have faculty and staff here. Some faculty are alums as well of the institution, but we also have just some faculty and staff. We've got some folks from our senior administration, VP Tom Box, VP of Advancement, and we also have Jeff Jordan, VP of Student Life too. As I mentioned, we have parents, we have past alumni of the year, and also current alumni, our current alumnus of the year. With those of you who have been Medallion Award winners in the past and also been alums of the year in the past, would you raise your hand so we can acknowledge you? GT Gun, who's get that hand up, please, sir? We really stand on their shoulders, and also the guests and the friends of the honorees. That's probably our whole group here. But we've had many people travel from all over the place here. The Emras road tripped up here from Southern California in their fifth wheel, and we plugged them in behind the alumni office the last couple of nights. And they had their grandkids staying with them. The Walls road tripped up here, and many of their friends and family have come up here. So I want to acknowledge all those people who have come from far away to be here today. Is Pixie Paris Rowe here? Is she in the house? Here's Pixie. Okay, so Pixie gets the award today for coming the longest. She checked in with us, I think, on Facebook or email a couple weeks ago. So she said, "I'm coming to my reunion." He said, "Oh, great." So we signed her up, but I'm coming from Devon, England. So big hand for Pixie for coming all the way for her reunion. Okay, finally, I wanted to acknowledge some of the leadership groups. We talk a lot about memories here, but many of you are active, are very involved with your alma mater even now, and I wanted to just list a few groups that some of you are involved with. We have, what about current and past trustees? Would you raise your hands? So involved there. What about alumni board members, past and present? Lots of you. Parent council members who are currently serving the parent council. And I saw the Catos. I know they're here. Thank you. What about Wellspring and Present Circle members? Lots of you. So we're all gathered here to celebrate in this community. It's wonderful. Our homecoming theme this year is advancing our mission. President Martin has set as his first goal to advance Seattle Pacific University's unique mission to engage the culture and to change the world. He believes it is our vital and necessary focus to meet the challenges of a world that is ever changing, ever in need of a positive influence of SPU alumni like yourselves. We're pleased to join with him today in celebrating our mission and the alumni who live it out day by day. We are grateful to all of you for being here. You are indeed the living expressions of a legacy of 122 years old and continuing strongly to this day and into the future. Be loud and proud this weekend, for it is in your prayers and encouragement, your financial support and time volunteered, and in your word of mouth advertising about SPU that university will remain a leader in Christian higher education long into the future.
My name is Linda Nolte. I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni and Parent Relations, and we have been a flurry in our office and so excited to meet everyone that's been so excited to come back to campus and reconnect, and thank you for being here and a part of our celebration this weekend. So will you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, thank you for this special day. A day to remember and to celebrate your faithfulness to us. We celebrate this place, Seattle Pacific, this community you have blessed us with, a safe place where many of us have found our direction, made lifelong friendships, and our faith was challenged and strengthened. We lift up fellow alumni and their powerful stories of changing the world through technology, on the mission field, and in business. I pray these stories will remind us that we too can change the world in small and big ways. Help us to rekindle our Christian commitment to be a light unto the world. Lord, we ask that you would bless this food to the use of our bodies, and in your precious name we pray. Amen.
We're going to have President Martin come up. Before he comes up, I'm going to say a little bit about him. On April 10th, 2012, the Seattle Pacific University Board of Trustees elected Daniel J. Martin as president. He's our 10th president in 121 years. President Martin took office early in July. He will be inaugurated at a ceremony at McCaw Hall at Seattle Center this spring on April the 2nd. Advancing SPU's mission to engage the culture and change the world is his first priority as president. It's also the theme of our inaugural year. You've seen that on all the banners around campus. He has a law degree, an MBA, and catch this, 2 doctorates in education, so he's well prepared for his post. President Martin has worked as a university administrator for 18 years. Most recently, he served as president at Mount Vernon Nazarene University in Mount Vernon, Ohio. He has said that the president of SPU is his dream job, and that's evident already. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Daniel J. Martin.
Well, thank you. I don't know how I can follow the string quartet and the 007s, and I'm not even sure I can follow an engineering major based on the response that I did not know that would draw that type of response. But that's great. Well, it is a pleasure to be here with you. It was about a year ago that we were moving through the search process and the interview process. And I couldn't be happier to be here with you today. Just want to say a few words before we move on to the real order of business today. And that's recognizing some wonderful alumni and the things that they are doing in their life and the difference that they're making in our world. I don't know if you saw this, if you live in Seattle. Last Sunday, January 20th, there was an article that said, "Amazing tales of cat navigation remain mystery to scientists." The article starts and says, "Nobody knows how it happened. An indoor house cat that got lost on a family excursion managing after 2 months and about 200 miles to return to her hometown. Even scientists are baffled by how Holly, a 4-year-old tortoiseshell cat who in early November became separated from Jacob and Bonnie Richter at an RV rally in Daytona Beach, Florida, appeared on New Year's Eve, staggering, weak, emaciated in a backyard about a mile from the Richter's house in West Palm Beach." Article goes on and talks about a variety of animals that have made it home again from thousands of miles. What'd I say? Who's laughing? But animals who have made it home and from trips and have gotten separated from their family. And Holly the cat, in this article, Holly wanted to go home, and she had to walk 200 miles to get there. And she was compelled by her deep desire to be home again. She'd made it. Her paws were bleeding. She was barely standing, and she had to be nursed back to health over a 6-day period. So Holly wanted to go home to the place that she knew that she belonged. Well, this is SPU's homecoming weekend. And like Holly, many of you had a strong desire to come back to this place, a place where you belong. Now, as Holly traveled, I can imagine the thoughts that compelled her along her journey. Her favorite spot to lay in the sun, her favorite toy, the love of those in her home, people who fed her, that wanted the best for her, that made her feel as if she belonged. Well, we gather today at Homecoming Lunch, and it affords a great opportunity to reflect on what brought you back here today. What memories do you have of this place that make this place so special for you, that makes you feel as if you belong? How did SPU impact your life? I wish we had time to go around the room and hear everyone's response, but I am interested in your thoughts to those questions. So if you think about it after today and want to provide a response, feel free to email me, simply dmartin@spu.edu. Well, even in the short time that I've been here at SPU in 7 months, I felt the same sense of belonging. The community and its inviting and welcoming nature have made this possible. However, it's one thing to feel that you belong at SPU during the day. It's quite different when you discover how belonging is defined after hours. Living in Hilford House across from Ashton and above Hill, and experiencing the second and third shifts of campus life reminds me of the song from the Disney movie Aladdin. It's a whole new world. Students have reached out to us after hours in some great ways, and they've helped create this sense of belonging at SPU. Just before Christmas, a group of students brought cookies by the house. And as I took them, I asked them if they were having a good experience at SPU. I wanted to know before I ate the cookies. Students have invited us to progressive dinners. They've invited me to dorm Bible studies. They've asked us to serve as judges for Halloween decorating contests, lip syncs, and even talent shows, as was recognized earlier with Pam. At Traditions, the Christmas celebration, I can't tell you how many pictures I took with students while sitting on Santa's lap. Of course, this seems tame to the group of guys who hoisted me in the air to snap a picture together at the midnight breakfast before finals. Well, students have also had some unique ways of engaging with us after hours to help create this sense of belonging. They forked our yard early in the year. They trick-or-treated Hilford House in September. The men from 5th West Ashton left a cornucopia harvest basket with a welcome to the community note on our doorstep. Students have subtly hinted, or maybe not so subtly at times, that they'd like to come over to Hilford House. So we've had a movie night, dessert night, a few dinners, and on February 5th, a group of guys from Six Hill will be coming over to roast coffee beans and have a coffee taste testing evening. Students are fond of greeting me loudly by yelling the nickname that they've given me, D-Money, off of the 6th floor balcony of Ashton as I pull into the driveway at Hilford House. Students have also asked me to participate in a video that they are producing, to which I agreed. And right before filming, they proceeded to let me know that my scene required that I wear hip-hop clothing and dance. And I'm sure you get the sense that both are very natural for me. Well, whatever your connection to SPU, alum, parent, friend, whether you've been associated with this university for a long time or a relatively short time, such as myself, I hope this feels like home for you and that you belong. All of us have a different perspective of what this means and our own sense of belonging at SPU. But I'd suspect that there's one common thread that runs through each one, and it's the people of SPU. It's those who are part of the SPU community that are intentional about building relationships and making space and room at the table for others. Along with our foundation in Christ, it's the people of SPU that I found that makes this place so special. It's a place with a rich history, a history that's been changing our world from this very location since 1891. It's a place with a very bright future. And I truly believe that our best days are before us. And those of us here now that are entrusted with this mission are working diligently toward that end. Well, as we celebrate at today's lunch and honor persons who epitomize that not only what it means to be a part of this community, but who embody and live the institution's mission in a way that creates lasting and transformational change in our world. We're proud of Margo and Larry, Gloria, John, and Sheryl. We're grateful to God that you not only belong to SPU, but that you represent the very best of SPU. God bless you. We look forward to honoring you today.
Good afternoon. My name is John Glancy. I'm Director of Graduate Admissions here at SBU. And it's my privilege to introduce to you today 4 distinguished alumni. They are the recipients of our 2013 Homecoming Medallion Awards. And these awards recognize special SBU alumni whose character and life work embody the vision of Seattle Pacific University to engage the culture and change the world. The awards committee uses the following criteria in selecting candidates for the Medallion Award: expertise in their chosen profession, contributions to the welfare of their community, a mature Christian faith exemplifying the ideals of Seattle Pacific University, and loyal support of SPU and its mission. Both of our awards today go to alumni couples. And our first couple is John and Sheryl Emra. I'd like to read a little introduction about the Emras. Sheryl remembers the day John passed her a note in chapel. The note said, "Read this after chapel is done." Sheryl proceeded to read the note during a visit to the ladies' room. It contained a single question that would change her life forever. She exclaimed out loud, "I just got proposed to in the bathroom." Sheryl thinks this is a metaphor for their lives together. There's nothing typical about it. Their long and interesting road of service and cultural engagement have never been boring, says Sheryl. They worked for many years with World Gospel Mission in Honduras. Later, God led them back to the States to build a program to help youth in East Los Angeles. The program eventually served more than 1,000 kids a year. This ministry with young people led John and Sheryl to create a curriculum that they simply called Life is Full of Choices. Today, they work with dozens of churches in Los Angeles and around the country. The Life Choices program helps parents identify 4 core needs of kids: affection, boundaries, consistency, and discipline. And most of all, John and Sheryl help youth make life-changing choices to follow Christ. Just think, all this started with a note passed in chapel and written at 2 a.m. by John as he waited for cookies to bake during his shift in Gwynn Commons. Now that's a recipe for success. And now please recognize John and Sheryl as they join us on the stage. Linda Nolte, Assistant Director of Alumni and Parent Relations, and Gary Newbill, Chair of the SPU Alumni Association, will present the Emras with their awards. And then I'll ask them to come over and share a few words with you after that.
Well, sort of like Holly. You know, we're not bleeding, and after that lunch, I don't think we're going to need weeks to recover. But it is nice to come back home, a place that we considered home for a number of years, and our first year of marriage. Linda said, share something about how Seattle Pacific College affected you in your life. And so I'd like to tell you a little story. I was 17 years old. It was in September at some point, and I was driving in the car with my mother. and my mother said, "I need you to go to college." And I said, I'm going to college. I'm enrolled at the community college here in Portland. She said, "No, I need you to go to a real college." And I said, "Okay, where do you want me to go?" "Well, your sister went to Seattle Pacific College." And I said, "Well, okay, it's sort of mid-September. That's a good school. I'm sure they're full. Okay, if you can get me into college, I'll go." That was Friday afternoon. An hour later, she came outside where I was working and said, "Okay, you're enrolled." You start next week. A mother's tears are powerful. I showed up here, freshman orientation. Mom and Dad dropped me off, said goodbye, and turned around and drove home. And I was alone. My roommate was an upperclassman. He wouldn't show up for another week. And I'm sure there were a number of nights that I said, "What?" Or more, "What am I doing here?" And I discovered something those first few months of my freshman year, from the perspective of a 17-year-old soon to turn 18, that there were really two kinds of people here at school. And one kind was the kind that knew they were going to change the world. And the other kind was the kind whose mother shed tears. And so I went through the motions. I went to class, got a job in Gwyn here. Did all the things you do to be at college. Got invited to be a part of the choir, went to the Orient that year, had a great time, met lots of people. It was wonderful. I looked forward to coming back the next year. Came back to work freshman orientation, and on that first day met Sheryl. That has changed my life forever. And that's so positive. Four years later, or through the course of the 4 years, and finally graduated and went back to Portland and became a baker, which is what I wanted to do. And a few years later, we said, where is our life going? It's not going in a direction we wanted it to go. We met together in an action team in a singing group, and we enjoyed ministering together. And we said, what are we doing? And so we set out to find something that we could do together instead of going like this. And eventually we found World Gospel Mission, went to Honduras. They sent us then later to Los Angeles, and we ran this after-school program. We created it and worked with kids and enjoyed that greatly. And as we would travel around and talk to people about raising support for this ministry, they would hear what we are doing, working with kids, training them away from fatalism and a mentality that says I'm entitled to anything I want, and the cultural implications of victimization. And people would say, I need more information. Give me more information. Well, we don't have any. It's just what we do. And so somebody said, write a book. And I don't know how to write a book. How do you write a book? But we did. And the publisher said, okay, I need another book. We need to take this to another level. And so we wrote a book on parenting and then a workbook on how to incorporate those truths into your life in 7 steps. And in so doing, we have used the skills that we learned here at Seattle Pacific University. That it doesn't matter what you think you can do, it matters what you need to do. It doesn't matter if you're capable. God wants to know if you're willing. And as we have progressed through 33 years of ministry, one step after the other, God has just said, here's the next step. He never said, this is where I want you in 33 years, because he knew we'd have run the other direction. And as I'm talking to you today, and we're being honored with this lovely award, thank you, for whoever I need to say thank you to. It's not like we think we deserve it, because all that we're doing is having fun. Yeah. That's what ministry is to us. We're just out there having fun. And so thank you for letting me play here for 4 years and find out what the rules of life were and find out what we were capable of. And more importantly, thank you for your tears.
If you shopped on Amazon or bought tickets from Ticketmaster, you've used Perl, the fundamental programming language invented by Larry Wall. The name Perl was chosen by Larry as a reference to the pearl of great price mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew. Perl's success turned Larry into a geek culture phenomenon. His achievements earned the respect of techies across the globe, and many have listened attentively to his life story. Larry has traveled around the world to speak at technical conferences in Germany, Japan, India, and the Ukraine, as well as many U.S. cities. Larry is a talented classical violinist and also plays the drums. If we had a little more time, that'd be kind of fun to back up the 007s. Another of his talents is reciting Tolkien poetry, which he used successfully in wooing his wife, Gloria, who he met here at Seattle Pacific. Gloria was a self-designed double major in medieval and Renaissance studies. Currently, she is involved with a Bible quizzing organization, helping to organize multi-state regional tournaments. She also administers a lectionary website. Their Cupertino, California home is full of Sunday school materials because Gloria has taught Sunday school since, get this, she was 12 years old. Together, Gloria and Larry work tirelessly to serve their church's vision to assimilate non-English speaking fellowship groups. Larry and Gloria say they have long admired Seattle Pacific University. Gloria says that SPU challenges you to think and how to be right smack in the middle of things. When you think about it, that really describes Larry and Gloria themselves, a couple who is creating and serving right smack in the middle of everything. And now please recognize Larry and Gloria as they join us on the stage.
I'll I'll aim the mic. She'll start.
Well, I wouldn't exist without Seattle Pacific because my parents met here. And I also met my husband here. And
That's me.
everything that I've done since then really has come down, had the Seattle Pacific education at the basis of it. Because this is a place where I met a lot of people who were passionate about a lot of subjects and passionate about following God, but were very different otherwise. Sometimes in the specifics of what they believed and what they thought God was trying to let them do. And Larry and I were headed for the mission field. We were going to be those people who changed the world, and God shut that door in our faces. We had medical challenges and some other things, and we couldn't go anywhere. But the mission field came to us. I have one little quibble with the Seattle Pacific motto. I don't like one word in it. It's the word the. Engage the culture. There isn't a the culture. There's lots of things. I mean, it says in our brochure that we're integrating a Spanish-speaking congregation into our church now. That's where there's already an English, a Mandarin, and a Cantonese. And so, you know, there isn't one culture anywhere you go. There's lots of cultures, and lots of cultures are just dumped in your lap. We live in the Bay Area, and I think it happened earlier there, but now it's happening everywhere. Everywhere you go in the United States, there's a lot of cultures being dumped in your lap you have to deal with. I'll let Larry talk about that.
Okay. Well, first though, we're both linguists, among other things, and so I have to sort of take back a little bit of what your complaint, because as linguists, you know, if you have a sentence like "the elephant is a gray mammal," you know that there are many elephants, right? Okay, so the culture, it could be a generic noun and representing many different cultures. Okay. So the culture, whatever your current culture is, but this is something that we started learning at Seattle Pacific and also with our Wycliffe training, was that there are many cultures, and not just the thing you think of about going across to Africa. Oh, they have a different culture. We're all one culture here. No, there's a culture in Ashton. There's a culture in Hildorm. There's a different culture in Moyer. I've done both Hill and Moyer, so I know they're different. She's a Moyer girl. The university has a particular culture, as your new president is discovering. The city has a culture. The state has a culture. The country has a culture. But also, your church has a culture. Your Sunday school class has a culture. Your industry has a culture. There are many different levels on which culture works. And we feel like almost we're up here under false pretenses because we had it really easy. We came through Seattle Pacific at the time where Seattle Pacific was first discovering that there's this whole new postmodern thing going on, and there's good things about that and bad things. So this idea that your diversity can be a strength as well as weakness, this idea that it's not new with postmodernism, but that new things and old things can be mixed together in a pleasing way. That's actually from Jesus. He said, a good teacher takes out from his storehouse, he takes old things and new things. And even before Seattle Pacific put a name on it and started talking about engaging the culture, they understood that was our purpose. When I first came, it was integrating faith and learning, I think was the slogan at the time. So, many different cultures. The way it has been too easy for us is that we have found ourselves, after we could not go to the mission field, in the midst of many different little cultural niches, each of which, culture is kind of a tool that you can sharpen, you can cut yourself on it, but you can do great things with it. And God works both through cultures and outside of cultures. So as our missionary training showed us, we need to understand a culture both from the inside and from the outside. And in each of these little cultures, we could do that and raise the bar a little bit. So Like when we first wrote a computer book, most computer books were very dry, had no jokes. So we just threw a few jokes in it. And suddenly, lots of computer books have jokes in them now. Most technical conferences were very kind of dry and boring. And we recognized with Pearl that, in fact, the community and the culture of that community was more important to the language than the language was to the community. Because otherwise you have a dead language, you know. So we came to church in a day and age when everyone sort of assumed that churches would be monocultural. If you're going to have a Chinese church, it's over 2 blocks away, right? But recognizing that you can combine, actually, multiple ethnicities into a single congregation with a single board and a single vision. That was easy, and hard at the same time. It's a lot of work, but so we have been very privileged, both in terms of our education and in where God has led us since then, to be in a place where, as you said, we get to have lots and lots of fun doing the work of the kingdom. And so thank you for your honoring us today.
Thank you, Emra, and thank you, Walls. Wonderful stories of vocation and engagement. When I talked to Margo a few months ago for the first time about Margo Engberg, about her award, we were talking about the components of what it meant, and she goes, "Is this for me?" And it was a wonderful conversation with her. But we started talking about some of the mechanics of this day, several months off back then, and I said, "Well, Margo, be thinking about who you want to someone who's impactful in your life, who you want to introduce you at the luncheon." And she interrupted me. She goes, "Les Steele." And so I didn't even think about it. She said, "Les Steele." And obviously, Les has been a big, important part of Margo's life. And so Les is going to come up after we show a short video and introduce Margo. Les is a familiar face around this place, multiple decades on the faculty in the School of Theology. Probably mentored many of you alums in his time. Then he was most recently at SPU Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs. And I've got to look at my notes here. Now he is the Executive Vice President for the Northwest Commission in Colleges and Universities, but still a good friend of this place. So let's watch a short video on Margo's life. We're here today with the woman behind the cupcakes, Margo Engberg. Thank you for talking to us, Margo.
Thank you.
We know about you as a professional woman and as this powerhouse business person in Seattle. But we want to know a little bit more about you as a person. Could you tell us a little bit about where you come from and where you grew up?
So I grew up in Snohomish, Washington. Went to Snohomish High School. I'm one of 5 kids. And my growing up wasn't exactly glamorous. I came from an alcoholic family, so I pretty much raised myself through high school and up until I left for college.
And the college you attended was, of course, Seattle Pacific University.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you found there?
So I would say, going back to my first day at SPU, walking into the dorm, moving myself in, people around me had their parents bringing them to college, and I just showed up by myself with my clothes and my car. And the first person that greeted me was Clover Beale, my first year PA. And I remember her sitting on the bed with me and praying, and I just sobbed, cried. And at that time, I knew I had found a family at SPU.
So you found your calling to serve the world in your years at SPU. And I know that's played out both in your business and your family. Mm-hmm. First of all, could you tell us a little bit about how that works in your business?
So when I adopted my 4 kids from Guatemala, I realized that they had never had a birthday party. And when I put them in school, in the public schools, I found out there were numerous kids that had never brought treats on their birthday, and I couldn't fathom not being able to bring cupcakes to school on your birthday. So first I volunteered to be cupcake mom, and that just took off. I started bringing cupcakes for kids that in the schools, and I thought, what if I started something where I sold my cupcakes and we used proceeds to help children in need, and so we did.
So where has your company gone today?
Well, day one, or prior to opening Pinkabella, I knew that I had to sell 84 cupcakes a day to make rent at Redmond Town Center, my first store. So I did the math and I convinced my husband that we could do it, and on day one we sold 2,000 cupcakes. We never really looked back. It has been crazy ever since. Within 6 months I opened my second store. 4 months after that, my third store, and 5 months after that, my fourth store. So Pinkabella has grown fast and rapid. We've been in business just 3 years, and we have 4 stores with 1 on the way.
So Margo, we know about the businesswoman, but tell us a little bit more about your family and your kids.
So we have 4 adopted children. 1 is from here, who we adopted first. Adopted her from one of my Young Life girls who I mentored, and again got involved in Young Life because of SPU as a leader. So we adopted her first, and then when she was 4, we decided to adopt a baby from Guatemala. When we went to Guatemala to adopt the baby, the facilitator brought the baby to us with 2 older children in tow, and those kids asked us in Spanish if we were going to adopt them. Wow. And my husband said yes, and I said, did you say that out loud? Because I'm pretty sure they understand yes in English. And they did. They were jumping and excited, and within 4 days of that process we had signed papers for the 2 older children, then 7 and 9.
So how about the future? Margo, what's in store for you and for the Engbergs?
So for me as Pinkabella, I'm not really sure what's in store. We're still loving the mission of Pinkabella. Our vision is to honestly save the world 1 cupcake at a time. So being able to make more, earn more, to be able to give more, that's our passion. That's why we do what we do. It's hard work. It cuts into family time, but we really work hard to make both work. As far as my kids, my dream for my kids is that they would go to SPU for real, and then just that they would learn the mission of giving from just living it every day. And I think they get it. They all have big, amazing giving hearts.
Beloved had no trunk. He only had a blackish, bulgy nose, as big as a boot, that he could wriggle about from side to side, but he couldn't pick up things with it. But there was one elephant, a new elephant, an elephant's child, who was full of satiable curiosity. And that means he asked ever so many questions. And he lived in Africa, and he filled all Africa with his satiable curiosities. He asked questions about everything he saw, or heard, or felt, or smelt, or touched. And still, he was full of satiable curiosity. When I first met Margo, I thought of the elephant's child. Not because of her nose, but because of her insatiable curiosity. She wanted to know about everything. No question would go unasked. No experience would go unexperienced. I can just recall the big eyes with every question, no matter what it was. Margo and I were freshmen at SPU. Of course, I was a very young faculty member at the time. And now, as life would have it, Pinkabella number 1 is about half a mile from my office in Redmond. It's a good thing I walk. What do I remember about Margo, and what is real today? Margo had and has an amazing work ethic. No job was ever too small for her, and she will work, and she will work until something is done. Of course, that did not apply to coursework. She always had something else to do on the floor, for a friend or some other organization, or in fact, baking cookies for somebody that was in need. Margo just has a natural business intelligence. She has this keen ability to see a problem or a possibility, and soon there's a plan. How many cupcakes have to be sold every day? Margo was and is a zealous optimist. She is a free spirit who loves God, life, and people, and that just always makes you want to be around her. In some ways, she reminds me a bit of a Labrador puppy. She's always happy to see you, and she bounces around, full of excitement and energy, and sometimes she'll dig a hole to get out of the backyard. And those on student life staff know what that was like here. And as with a Labrador, you know she's your best friend and she will do anything for you. It wasn't until a bit after first meeting Margo that I became aware of her challenging background. Once I did, oh my goodness, I was even more taken with this amazing young woman of God. You knew that her life was transformed by the grace and love of Jesus. She's one of those people who allow the grace of God to transform past wounds into gifts of grace. And these transformed wounds are then used to heal others. Henri Nouwen refers to folks like Margo as wounded healers. Margo says she remembers Christmas at our house. We remember Margo as being the gift under the tree. These days, when so many people are so cynical about Christianity, it is a joy to have people like Margo and Doug and their kids. When someone wonders what real, genuine Christianity might be like, you can just say, watch them. I am humbled and I am honored to have the privilege to introduce to you today Seattle Pacific's 2013 Alumna of the Year, Margo Jarvies Engberg.
Yes, Dr. Martin, I'm crying again.
She's remembering all the trouble she was. All right, we're gonna do a little interview thing here. The script calls for us to go sit there, but Margo, being Margo, said, "Forget what they tell us to do.
This is how we roll.
This is how we roll." So
we're breaking the rules.
Yeah, she always got me in trouble. Jeez. So pretend I'm Katie Couric.
Yes.
Or Geraldo. Maybe I'll be Geraldo. Okay. And I'm gonna start with some softball
Just not
questions.
Jerry Springer.
I'll throw Jerry. How do you're too young to know Jerry Springer. Anyway, okay. Let's start with some softballs and then move to some, don't read my notes, okay? Okay, first question. What did you like most about my classes?
Oh, wow.
Okay, never mind.
no,
We'll skip that. No, don't answer that. Don't answer. Okay. This is a little bit tougher.
Okay.
Right? Can you tell us the names of all the guys you dated while at SPU?
Oh my gosh.
This is fairly easy to the point, and I think she'll know what I'm talking about.
I've forgotten all their names.
Well, if you give me one name, you can tell me two you dated.
Who?
No, one of them's here.
I don't know.
I hope they're not here.
I hope not.
Kevin Johnson?
Oh, Kevin.
Yeah.
And I invited him. Can you believe that?
Yeah, well, I thought these were the softball questions.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Okay. Let's try a different one. What is your favorite dessert? Pinkabella cupcakes or Jell-O?
Oh, okay.
What else might you do with Jell-O besides eat it?
Well, as Dr. Martin learned today, you can wrestle in Jell-O. And I am the 2-time champion.
I thought you ate the stuff.
And it is not a Girls Gone Bad deal. It was a fun thing.
Yeah. Doctor, still come watch us wrestle in Jell-O. Oh, great, right. What's your favorite Pinkabella cupcake flavor? Quick.
Coconut.
Okay. Guess if you like coconut. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
How do you define being successful?
Whoa. Well, I think success is, I like to use the word passion. I think when you're passionate about something, you will naturally be successful. I don't know that you can totally strive for success. I think you have to have something that drives you. And for me, it's passion.
How does your Christian faith influence the way you understand success?
My Christian faith is by living it out every day. Just living out what I believe and what I'm passionate about is what I feel has made me successful.
What is it about God you like most?
Grace.
And what one practice of your Christian faith do you think keeps you most centered with all your busyness?
I would say my connection to God, my prayer.
Okay. And I believe you have some words to share with these people. So, why don't you do
Some
that
thanks. This part's hard. Okay. Yes, stand here so I don't fall over. I'd like to thank you all for being here today. You are here because you were invited, and you were invited because you have in some way had a role in my life, played a big part in my life, whether you were friends in college, professors, residence life staff, partners in crime. I was a little worried I was going to lose my award today, but I think I've redeemed myself, right? Okay. I haven't gotten it yet. So anyways, I was just hoping that the president really did his research before he actually called me up here. In all seriousness, there are a few people in here that I would like to recognize for, I would say, raising me up, so to speak. And so I'm going to do it kind of in chronological order. Just stand real quick and stay standing. First would be my Aunt Lynn and my Uncle Jerome, and my youth pastor, Jim Ritchie, and Ernie and Lisa Nicholson. These are the people that were there for me in my younger years. They took me in, they guided me. Lisa, my childhood friend, and her dad right there, Ernie, led me to Christ at their dining room table, a place I sat often. My aunt and uncle rescued me from tough, hard times. And then Jim Ritchie, just my youth pastor, who really was my shepherd. So I want to recognize them. Yeah. Thank you. And then just post-college and during college, Les and Gail Steele. Stand up. Bob and Donna McIntosh and Kimberly Foster. Tom Box. And JJ. These are people that really wrapped their arms around me. They took me home. I still have a stocking with a pair of socks. Gail doesn't remember it. And the note they wrote me welcoming me to their house on Christmas Eve. Spent many holidays with the Fosters or the McIntoshes. And then just Jeff and JJ here all through my college years, just really cheering me on and encouraging me and just helping me get through. Thank you. And then Mitch Lomax, Mitch and Allison. Mitch, I came to your church at a time that was probably the most soul-searching time in my life. And I want to say that through you, I saw God in a way I had never really experienced. I'm forever grateful. I love you guys. Thank you. And I cannot forget my husband, Doug, and my beautiful children, Mia, Gabe, Tycee, and Jasmine. Doug, you made me a wife, and you guys made me a mom. My life's greatest desire, and Mia, there she is. Okay, sorry. Just my life, that was all I ever wanted, and they stand right there. Thank you. I wish I could thank all of you. I'm looking around at the tables of friends, groups of friends, and I would love to walk around and say thank you so much. You all have played a role in my life. I wouldn't be here if you didn't get me out of trouble. You didn't bring me home, feed me. Honestly, it's because of my friends and my family that I am standing here today, and I am so forever grateful just that you guys are here. I saw a few friends today that just made me sob already. So, and then I want to thank SPU. I mean, honestly, I cannot tell you how important it is to embrace the tools you have, the ministry that they provide, the faith they build in you. There are so many people here at SPU that want to invest in your life, and if you're a student here, I hope that you take every moment to embrace that, because it saved my life, honestly. And most importantly, I want to thank God. I want to thank God for putting you in my life, because I would not be here. Thank you.
Let's congratulate Margo. Margo, we do congratulate you on behalf of the university and this community for the impact that you've had on this place and the impact that you're having in the world. It's been a pleasure to get to know you these last few days and get to know who you are as a person, who you are in Christ, and for the difference you're making. And we couldn't be more proud of you as a 2013 Alumna of the Year. God bless you.
Thanks.
Yep, there you go. Wow, good stories, wonderful fellowship, good connections, and we're going to close here in prayer in just 1 second. A couple of housekeeping items after all that. I'll be walking on air for a little while, thinking about all that we've heard. Still have a lot of homecoming happening today, so out to your reunions and the games, etc. Enjoy the rest of the day. Also wanted to say a special thanks to some folks, to our alumni team, led by Linda Nolte, Bobby Taylor, and Holly Wood. They were behind every single detail of today and this week. Also to Allison Estep for the beautiful printed materials and all the images that we've seen. And to Sodexo, to Loida, and to Tiffany, the catering team, for this delicious meal. So let's give them a hand, please. Three quick things. We have some tribute cards out on the back table. If you want to write a note to the Emras or to the Walls or the Engbergs, please do that. It's outside in the foyer. Adrienne Meyer, our archivist, we've introduced you to her before, long SPU roots, and she takes SPU archives and history very seriously. So go visit her. She's always got some great things to talk about. She's got a table back there with some pictures and some mementos. Please stay in touch. We've got a great Facebook page. We have an online directory, and we've got lots of people who are staying connected. Please nominate awardees for Medallion Awards and Alumnus of the Year. That's all on our website. Please do that. And also the Martins are going, Pam and Dan are going to join us back here in the foyer for a reception. We've invited some other people to come to that as well. So please this is your time to meet and greet them. So I'm going to let them scoot out. And finally, before the prayer, we have a Pinkabella cupcake for each and every one of you as you leave this place. So that's compliments of Margo and the Engbergs. So you can pick those up on the way out as well. Why don't you bow your heads for prayer, and we can leave this place. Dear Father, thank you for SPU and for the work of your Spirit in this place and in our lives. Guide and direct our steps as we go out from here. In your Son's name, Jesus, amen. Thank you.